Hey guys, the MIgardener. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to preserve your kale for the winter months because kale is so nutrient dense and unfortunately Michigan just gets way too cold. If you have a cold frame sometimes or a cold, like a hoop house or a cold frame, you can keep your kale all through the winter. But unfortunately this is not a cold frame, so it would definitely die out here. And I don't want all this to go to waste. We have so much here, plus the other two beds. We have about 65 square feet of just kale, and that probably is about 75, 80 kale plants. And for those of you that have grown kale, you know how much you can get, but it's so nutrient dense. And a lot of people say that it's 10 times more nutrient dense than spinach is, and spinach is great for you as well, but I don't want to let this go to waste because it took so much nutrients out of my beds. It's taken a lot of time to get to this size, and we've been enjoying it, but I want to be able to enjoy it longer as well. So before this stuff dies back, because we are getting some colder nights, it is a cold weather crop, but I want to get some saved so that we can guarantee that we have some just in case it does have a freak freeze. So basically what I'm just going to do is come through here and I'm going to pick the oldest, largest, crispest leaves. The new leaves, you know, I'm not going to be too picky because when we get in the house we're going to wash it up, and if anything has any bug bites, which I don't suspect all that much, you know, we'll toss it out, but just get it in there first, and then we can be picky later. So I'm just picking off pretty much every single thing. You know, there's some yellow leaves that I won't obviously put in there, but I mean this stuff's just gorgeous, and I'm just gonna pick off the lower leaves because the upper leaves are a little bit tender. They're gonna be good in salads still, and like I said, it has not frozen yet, and it can survive, you know, one freeze, but two freezes might do it in. So I don't want to risk losing this kale. So I'm pretty much just picking a rapid bushel here, it looks like, and wow, I've only done 3 plants, and I've gotten a bushel's worth of kale, and I still have about 60 more square feet to go. So we're definitely going to have more kale we know what to do with. If you have a girlfriend, a nice kale bouquet can go well. And you know, these leaves are just so great. They're so healthy, and I just yeah, I cannot believe how much kale we've gotten from these beds. So I'm gonna finish picking this kale, and then we will take it into the kitchen, and we will be able to preserve it for the winter months. That was a pretty fast bushel. That was about 3 minutes worth of picking, and we got ourselves a bushel of kale. And for those of you that don't know, kale is about $3 a pound at our grocery store. It's a very expensive green, but I'm telling you what, free. I got the seed, grew it myself, and I only picked about 5 plants. So we are, wow, we got a lot more kale to go. So I seriously underestimated how much we had, but this is great. Let's get in the kitchen and we'll start preserving it.
All right, so we've got our kale here, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to de-stem it because you don't want the center woody stem here. You just want just the leaves for this part. So basically, I found the best way to do it is just to fold it in half here, and then just take the knife and run it along the stem there. Then there's your stem, and there's your kale. Took what, like 5 seconds to do, and maybe 10 seconds, I don't know, but either way, there's your kale. And you're gonna wanna probably, you know, roughly shred this. It's totally optional, you can throw it in just as is, but I personally would not want a huge honking big piece of kale. So that's done. I did want to make mention that it's important that you wash these leaves off. These are grown organically, but you definitely don't want to have any dirt or anything on there. And so also another thing is make sure they are fresh and crisp. You don't want to wait a couple days to preserve these because limp greens just do not preserve well. I don't know why, but it's just something about it that if you preserve a limp green, it just turns out so bad. So definitely make sure they're still very crisp, like harvested this day, and don't wait very long. Also, we have a pot of boiling water going on the stove, and that's going to be the the next step here is once we get a bunch of kale here, we're going to throw it in the boiling water, and then we can continue on with the next step. So the next step we're going to do is we're just going to take all this kale here. We got a nice pot of boiling water here. Take all this kale, and we're just going to throw her in. And you want to make sure that the kale is under the water. So just kind of get a spoon and just kind of pat it down. And you want to stick it in here for no longer than 3 minutes. You just want to blanch it very quickly. So 2 minutes is typically the way I'll do it. And then we have an ice bath right over here that is prepped with some ice, and it's ready to rock for that. So I'm going to get that step all finished, because if you cook it too long, you'll have mush. And this will preserve the color, and it'll boil out some of the enzymes that will actually make the leaf turn black in the freezer. This will keep the color nice and fresh, and also it'll look good when you put it in a pasta. It'll look like you just took it right from the garden, even though it is mid-January. Alright, so now it's time to take out the kale from the bath of boiling water here. And I just got a strainer, but it really doesn't matter, just any way to take it out, a lot of it at a time, because we don't have time to waste here, because the longer it stays in the water, the softer it's going to get. So that time is very crucial. It's not like beans where you can have softer beans. It's definitely a matter of time with the kale. So I'm just going to throw those in there. And that's why it's also important to have the ice bath pretty close to the place where you're boiling, because you're going to have quite a bit of drips when you're rushing like this. But it's all water, it's just going to evaporate, and it's all good. So there's all the kale out of the boiling water, and we're just going to kind of mix that around in there to freeze it, or not really freeze it, but just stop the cooking process. And that's why it needs to be very cold, filled with ice, and it's going to look a little bit darker, but it's still very green. It's not black like it would be if you just threw it in the freezer as is or without boiling it at all. Alright, so now that you got your kale all cold, you're going to take it and just throw it right in the bowl there. Give it kind of like a 1-2 shake. You don't want to have a whole ton of water all dripping off of it, but just kind of get all the water from the kale. Throw it in your bowl there. There we go. Got all that. Now we're going to move this bucket. And you have your bowl here, and you're just going to kind of just toss this, get all the rest of the water out. Give it a little press, because by now you're not really concerned with the shape of it, because it's all limp anyways, and it's going to go into cooked food. It's not really good for a salad anymore, but it's going to be great in soups. It's going to be great in pasta dishes, and you're going to have no problem at all having great, awesome kale all the way through the winter. And so there you go. It's all fresh. It's been drained, tossed. And we're just going to take our bag here. We've got our freezer bag. We're just going to load it into the freezer bag. Into the freezer bag it goes. And obviously we're going to do some more, but these are the only size freezer bags we had. So yeah, so these are totally done. Then you just label it, what it is, kale, the date, and you're going to be all set for 8 to 12 months. This is going to store great. So instead of 3 to 4 if you didn't blanch it at all, now it's blanched. So the enzymes are going to keep it. All the enzymes are boiled off, so it's going to stay nice and fresh, nice and green, and you guys are going to be able to wow guests with some nice, fresh garden kale all the way through winter. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you guys try this, and hopefully you guys learned something new. This is MIgardener reminding you guys to grow big or go home. I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Bye.